we see Arjuna was the great warrior in Kurukshetra, Juddha, and he defeated so many Maharajas. He was assigned by Lord Sri Krishna to guard the queens, but Krishna's Duta, Vishnu Duta, came disguised as Gandharva, and when they came to take away the queens, Arjuna's weapons were powerless. Arjuna's weapons were powerless. In the same way, we should understand that everyone's power is derived from the Supreme Lord. Here in the West, we see that there are so many machines, and these machines have made a vast development. But with only machines, is it possible to be happy? Kevala jantra ke dwar kisi sukh ho sakta hai. Simply by machines is it possible. My Hindi bahut acha nahi. Thoda thoda janta hu. That simply with machines, one is not possible to be happy. We cannot eat the nuts and the bolts. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he used to criticize the Western disciples, that you Westerners, you are simply attached to machines. You cannot go to sleep without smelling a machine at night. That if you have some telephone or some machine, then you can get to sleep. Otherwise not. And he told the story about one Jila, one fisherman in India, that in previous time the Grihastas, they were habituated to asking if anyone was hungry. And so one Grihasta, he went outside and he looked to see if anyone was hungry, he called. He saw one fisherman. He said, have you taken your meal? Aapko khana ho gaya? Lanai. So he brought him inside. Then he said, please leave your basket outside. Basket is smelling too much. So the fisherman came inside, and on the courtyard he gave him some food. He asked the fisherman, you have any place to sleep tonight? He said, no. It's all right, you sleep here. And you leave in the morning. He said, thank you very much. So that night the fisherman went to sleep. About 1 or 2 in the night, the Grihasta, he had to get up for some nature's call. And when he saw how the guest is doing, he sees he's tossing and turning. He said, how you are sleeping? And he replied that my sleep is very disturbed. I cannot get to sleep. Why is this? What is the difficulty? And the fisherman said, difficulty is I can't sleep without my basket. I'm used to the smell. Without smelling that basket, that fishy smell, I can't get to sleep. So then the Grihasta, all right, so bring in your basket so you can go to sleep. Then he went to sleep soundly. In the same way, everything has to have a machine in the West. If you brush your teeth, it needs a machine. Everything. So, in this way, people have become addicted. The machines are okay. Nothing is wrong with machines, except that we think that machines are our happiness. Then we are foolish. Because every day they're inventing a new machine. But these machines aren't what is going to give us the actual happiness we are seeking. If we use the machine in Krishna's service, or we use the machine in our business and give something in Krishna's service, that will give us actual spiritual bliss. Otherwise, just the machine, just like Arjuna, he had his Gandiva bow, Dhanuk tir, but when he needed them most, their power was finished. We have so many machines. Yesterday I took a tour of the Science Museum, and there it had a chart 65 years before all oil finished. That is their prediction. Of course, if there's a war, then it'll be finished much quicker. Then the situation will be very critical, because all the farming is done in the Western country by tractor. And tractor runs on what? On petroleum products. Of course, in India, still they are using the bullock in most of the places. So now they are considered backward. But if there's a petroleum shortage, then they'll be considered very advanced. In fact, you may be thinking, I'm just saying this, but I have proof. Because I was recently in London, and the government was advertising in the newspaper that all farmers who had known how to use horses, they should come and become instructors. And those farmers who wanted to learn how to use horses, they'll get paid £100 a week, because they're expecting a huge petroleum crisis. Previously they had horses for plowing, for carrying the crops, but everyone forgot horses. They're just laying there unused. So now the government is paying people, please learn how to use horse. You can never tell when the steamers coming with the oil are going to be bombed, when the oil is going to be finished. And I remember reading in the history books that British would criticize the Indian people that why you are using only bullock. You should kill them all off and get tractor. And now they're paying £100, please learn how to use horse. Save petrol, too expensive. It's costing there about $4 a gallon. So, actually people may misunderstand that I'm trying to say or criticize the technological advancement. Actually, that's not my purpose. But my purpose is actually to show that an overemphasis has created an imbalance. Actually, we see how there is progression. Originally, when the big cities started to build up in India, all the village people were attracted by the high salaries to come from the Gao to the Sahar. And they came from the village to the city to get the bigger salary. But they soon found that rent was higher, expenses higher. So then they thought, well, let me go to the west. Then I'll get a very big salary. So then many of them, of course, have migrated to the United States, different countries. And many are nicely situated. So, of course, I heard a story this morning that there was one Indian tourist who traveled all over the world by bicycle. And when he came to Chicago, he had parked his bicycle on the street and he walked into a store to get some food. When he came out, he saw his bicycle, everything was stolen. So he said that, why is this? My mother told me that you don't have to worry about theft in America. Everyone there is rich, so they won't steal. But of course, what happened? Everything he got stolen. Everywhere there's some misery, everywhere there's some happiness. Maybe someplace one thinks that I'm more miserable, and someplace one thinks I'm more happy. But nobody is only happy, and nobody is only miserable. There's always two. Sitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nitya tang sataiva titikshava. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad. This is known as what? This is this material nature. Dvaiviyesha gunamaya mamamaya dratthaya mameva jaypapadyante mayametang taranti te. Krishna says, my maya is very difficult to conquer, very difficult to get out of. But someone who surrenders to me, easily he can overcome the stringent laws. So what we're saying is that have everything. Actually, in this material world, nothing is lacking except one thing. That one thing is Krishna. Krishna must be added. Otherwise, everything is vacuum. Without that one ingredient, nothing is full. Savai pung sang paro dharmo yato bhaktir hokhaje ahaitu gya pratiyata yadma suprasidati. This is how we get that suprasidati, prasanatma. Sab log to sukh hota chahe. Everyone wants to be sukhi, happy. But the secret is there. We have to add Krishna. We have to add Bhagavan to our lives, you see.